The original Nexus 5 was not only a good phone, it was a loved phone. Can its successor, the Nexus 5X, achieve the same level of affection with its users? Let's find out. The Nexus 5X has a 5.2-inch 1080p LCD display. On the front of the phone, you will find a 5-megapixel camera at the top and a mono speaker at the bottom. Inside the mono speaker is an LCD notification light. On the right side of the phone, you will find a power button and volume rockers. On the left side is a nano SIM card slot. On the bottom, you have a Type-C USB charging port, and on the top, you have a speaker for active listening. On the back of the Nexus 5X, you will find a 12-megapixel camera, LED flash, fingerprint scanner, and painted on Nexus and LG logos. On the inside, the Nexus 5X is rocking a Snapdragon 808 processor, 2GB of RAM, and a 2700 mAh battery. The Nexus 5X definitely has some compromises, but it's still a phone that's every bit as easy to love as its predecessor, the original Nexus 5. The best part about the Nexus 5X, or any Nexus phone for that matter, is the software. Nexus phones run pure, unadulterated Android, the way Google intended for it to look, feel, and behave. The Nexus 5X was the first phone to ship out with Android 6.0. Even with just 2GB of RAM, the phone is zippy and fast, and every animation feels quick and responsive. While Google Now on Tap isn't anything to write home about yet, I found that active voice recognition was easily my favorite feature on the phone. Being able to grasp information hands-free by just beckoning Google was both useful and pretty cool. The Nexus 5X was also the first Android phone where I have seen the ambient screen work pretty reliably. Combined with Nexus Imprint, the Nexus 5X's ability to access notifications has been greatly enhanced. Speaking of that fingerprint scanner, it works pretty well, though it's not as good as what you would find on the iPhone 6s. However, my favorite part about the fingerprint scanner is the location. Allowing the scanner to sit on the back of the phone prevents users from accidentally unlocking their phones before they can read the notifications on the lock screen, something that happens to me daily on the iPhone 6s. Another bright spot with Android 6.0 Marshmallow is the implementation of what Google is calling doze, which basically turns off all essential functions on the phone when the phone is not moving. Now, even if you don't plug in your phone before you go to sleep, you won't have to worry because your battery will only drain 2 to 5% during a typical 8-hour period. The Nexus 5X doesn't have spectacular battery life. I have only averaged 2.5 to 3 hours of on-screen time, but the quick charge added by the LG charger allows you to top off 20% battery in just 10 to 15 minutes. Nexus phones have notoriously had bad cameras. The Nexus 5X finally makes bad cameras a thing of the past on Nexus devices. Simply put, the physical camera on the Nexus 5X is as good as any camera out there on the smartphone market. The only ding on the camera is that the video is disturbingly shaky. If the video shakiness could be fixed via a software update, then not only would the Nexus 5X have the best camera on a smartphone under $400, but it would have one of the best smartphone cameras, period. While the Nexus 5X packs in a ton of great features, Google and LG definitely made some sacrifices when they created this phone. The big ding on this phone for me and for many others is the build quality, or more specifically, how it feels. Nothing about the Nexus 5X makes you think nice or solid. The phone is entirely plastic and lacks the nice heft and smooth feel of the previous generation Nexus 5. To be frank, it feels like a budget smartphone, but then again, it is. Unfortunately, not only does the Nexus 5X feel like a budget smartphone, it sounds like one too. Don't get me wrong, I love the fact that the speaker is on the front of the phone. However, despite the speaker's new position, it still sounds really tinny. The Nexus 5X definitely has some significant compromises. It doesn't look, feel, or sound as good as it actually is. However, a lot of those compromises can be fixed by the user by simply adding a case, skin, or a pair of headphones. What the user can't fix is exactly what the Nexus 5X nails. In terms of software, camera, and size, the Nexus 5X has no competitors. And for me, that makes the Nexus 5X a phone that is super easy to love, just like the original Nexus 5. And I highly recommend it. Alright guys, thanks for watching today's video. If you liked it, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like that, go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button down below. Until next time guys, it's been real.